Minasan, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Welcome, yokoso. So, Musings from Japan, number 30.
Yokoso, number 32. 32.
32. 32.
Yep, that's right. 3-2.
I'm going to try one of these days, Greg, to get the graphics that'll scroll across our face of like music.
Yeah, I'd like to put on some of those graphics that some of those YouTubers put on.
Well,
that'd be really cool.
It's supposed to be easy.
Yeah, where do you get that stuff?
Well, it's in the thing. All you do is download, graphics, and then you have it put motion in there.
Yeah, download graphics from where?
Oh, from the web. That there's free GIFs and all different kinds of things that you can get. Sometimes I put like the dancing cat when Ty joins us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's free. That's free. But I don't know how to put it into this because I don't have enough time to sit here and learn all that crap stuff.
Oops. Edit
out. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All that stuff. Anyway, Greggy, welcome back.
Well, welcome to Musings from Japan 32.
So how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
It was a busy morning this morning.
A busy morning for you.
I got up early. Yeah, it's my day off, and I got up early.
Yeah, for me, my day off, I got up early, and I wanted to go for a walk this morning.
Yeah,
and it was raining. It was raining. When I got up at 4:45, and it was raining, so I went to the toilet and do my morning newspaper read.
Well,
and then when I was done, it still was drizzling, and I said, I'm not going to go out and walk in the rain. And so I just, tooled around, made a little breakfast and stuff like that. Then it cleared and it got sunny. And so I went out to the garden grid and I worked in the garden and cleaned up some crap, and junk that was laying around. That was good. Fixed some things that were damaged by the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I feel
from your heavy snowfall this past winter.
Yeah. There's little minor repairs that have to be done around the house. And so now I'm talking to you.
Great.
Hey, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's time, before we do anything on music, we must do, how's the weather, Greggy?
Well, it's pretty interesting.
Today was funky.
Yeah, so far it's been interesting. It's yesterday too, because yesterday started out, it got hot. Almost hot. It wasn't too bad, but but it was hot, and then it rapidly cooled down. And the same thing kind of happened today. It's actually nice and cool outside, but the neighboring prefecture to the west had a tornado warning about an hour and a half ago or 2 hours ago.
Yes, Japan does get tornadoes.
That's right, and we sure do get tornadoes here. But then the weather looks like this afternoon there's forecasted thunderstorms moving in about a couple hours.
Well, for me, it was cool this morning after the rain stopped. Sun came out a little bit, but it didn't get warm. It just kind of like, I don't know, just came out. And then it became cloudy and it's right now I'm looking outside. The wind is picking up. That means the rain is coming.
That's right.
So it's good, but it's cold. I mean, temperature here. Let me look on the handy.
A week ago, while you're looking, we had a blustery.
Where's that word blustery?
Yeah, it was very blustery. Japan is blustery, I think, in the spring.
But it's 15 degrees, by the way.
15 degrees. So that's that's pretty chilly.
Yeah, that's the high today. That's the high.
That's chilly, and even 20 can be chilly here. 20 degrees Celsius, to me, it's kind of chilly. But when it's about, let's see, in my area right now, we are at, let's see, we're at 19, so it's cooled down a little bit. It's, and it's early afternoon, so as we record this, so the temperature is 19. The high was 21 Celsius, and then it's going to go down. Well, we're going to get rain 100% at 4 and 5 p.m. this afternoon. So we'll see what happens.
So for the next 2 days, it's going to be about 15 is the high today. Actually, the high is supposed to be 16. We might get 1 degree up. Yay.
So tell me about the tulips in Niigata. Are the tulips done with?
Yeah, well, no, on Bandai Bridge, this is the one advantage that we haven't had any heavy storms. You know how it is in Niigata. Sometimes we get heavy storms and wind, so the tulips, they line the Bandai Bridge in downtown Niigata City, and they put tulips on the bridge. So it's kind of nice when you drive. You know, little things sticking up around the side and nice color. But when the winds come up, they always get blown off, and so like the petals are all over the road or in the river. And it's kind of like, sad. But because there hasn't been a heavy storm, they look great, Greg. The tulips look nice. Actually, it's good color.
Niigata is a lovely city to drive to.
We've been lucky. We had good cherry blossoms this year. Tulips are nice and full this year.
Yeah.
And but it's been cool. It hasn't been hot. We haven't had the hottest day we had that I can remember was only 19 degrees.
Oh, that's great. We've already had 26, I think, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26. I think that may be the hottest.
How hot is that in Fahrenheit? It's about 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Almost 78, 80, close around there.
It's somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but without, checking on my phone.
Yeah,
However, it's, to me, I love 20 or 21. 20, like right now is kind of ideal temperature outside.
Like
it's cool.
Mid 60s.
Yeah, mid 60s, high 60s. If it's
high
around
60s.
70, if it's around 70, but then here in Japan, when it's around 70, it's probably the same way that with America. When it's a little bit above 70, then even if it's 70 or low and you have high humidity, it starts to get humid.
Yeah.
So,
and
then the humidity is coming very soon.
Right. This is Golden Week.
Golden Week. And, did you see the rice fields? Like, how remember you told me when I moved there 8 years ago? In 2 weeks, I have my 8th year anniversary of being in Japan, long term, because even though I stayed that one summer 8 years ago and went back for 2 months to America, I was there almost 90 days in Shibata.
Right.
And so I remember this time of year was Golden Week. I came right after Golden Week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you told me to come right after Golden Week to avoid the holiday traffic.
Right.
And I came to Japan, but Golden Week is when they traditionally flood the rice fields. Is that right?
Well, here, they've already flooded them. They should have already flooded them. In our area, that's when they plant.
So I was over by a place near us, and these rice fields were flooded today.
Right. So they're getting ready to plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, go out there, and the machines, they ride on the machines, and it goes beep, 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 beep.
And just
Kinda
puts
cool.
each group of rice plants into the ground, and the flooded ground.
I was talking to my new students, and I asked them, how many of you come from farming families? And like half of the students raised their hand. I said, oh, yeah, are your parents farmers? Oh, no. Oh, who? This is my grandmother, grandfather, or my great aunt, my great uncle. The old people are the farmers. And I said, well, have you ever farmed? And they said, yeah. So a lot of students right now, they go home and they help their grandparents plant rice.
Oh, how cool is that?
It's just kind of cool. So
yeah, that's great.
But they say
like
it's
the
very
olden
hard.
days.
Like the old days. But they say it's really hard because
that's backbreaking work. Yeah,
they have the machine. So one girl described it as, Grandpa gets on the machine, he does the main field, but the machine can only get 80% of the field, but the corners, they don't want to waste any space. So the kids have to plant by hand in the corners to make sure they fill up all the tambo of the rice field with rice. They waste no space.
No wasted space.
No wasted space.
Yeah.
So she says they have these waist boots, not hip boots, waist. They go up to here and they like suspenders and they wade out there and they're
wow. So they can wade in the water without getting wet.
The water's not that deep, but they sink in it because it's been muddy and flooded for a week or so. So
So I'm thinking that, sometimes you see old Japanese ladies, you see old ladies they're walking and they're bent over like that,
hmm
and they're walking, they're walking because they're old, and probably the arthritis, and probably they might have even been in the rice fields as the young people.
Well, most likely, and they're arthritic. They're bent that way because they've worked many hours doing that, and I think they also have what osteoporosis. A lot of the older people don't have the calcium buildup that we do. Their diet was very poor when they were young, so they're susceptible to osteoporosis and arthritis because of
Mm.
that. So
Yeah.
anyway, but well, yeah, let's get, since I talked about my students, let's go to students. Transition. But because right now we're, for those of you who watched Musings a couple times ago, this is the beginning of the school year. So this is the first holiday season, this Golden Week, the end of April, the beginning of May. It's kind of like a spring vacation, even though we've only been in school for like 3 weeks.
It's now in the beginning of May, but I even watched on April 1st. I watched a Nugakushiki ceremony on YouTube
Right.
on the 1st of April.
Nugakushiki is an entrance ceremony for those who don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So the entrance, yeah, and it depends on the school in the area. So now, you know, it's very different. So how would you say, spring is the start of everything in Japan. The start of the school year, it's the start of the business year, the fiscal year. Everything happens in spring. The cherry blossoms are the key point. The cherry
Yeah, it's
blossoms come out.
all around the cherry blossoms.
Yeah. So we do that. So now we're into it and we're going. How are your students doing, Greg? How do you think? What's
Oh, great. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just great,
and I was thinking, we had a discussion the other day about, and kind of indirectly, I was thinking, your students and the teachers that you work with are completely different character than the students and the teachers that I work with, because
That's right.
because of the area that you are in, being on the Pacific side and in the third largest metropolitan area of Japan.
Yeah, the culture's different.
Very different culture. How many people live in your area?
Oh, I don't know. Uh,
Tens of millions,
Tens of
though.
millions, yeah, in the region, I would
In,
say, in the region. In the cities itself, like maybe Nagoya is 3 million people.
mhm,
I think it's large. It's a very large city. It's the fourth largest city in Japan.
I think fourth, yeah.
Hey, I didn't tell you, but I was in Gifu City to the north on
Ooh.
personal work business yesterday.
Mhm.
And it's the first time of all my time I've ever been in Japan. It's the first time I've ever been to Gifu
Mhm.
for a reason and
Ah,
stopped there. So I don't know. I don't know if the Shinkansen or the bullet train line goes through Gifu on the way up from Nagoya. I don't know. There
don't
was an
know.
electrified. It could have been the JR line that I saw, but either way,
Hmm.
I know that it might. No, I don't know if it does or not. But anyway,
I know JR goes there because I had students from Gifu and
yeah,
that
well,
they went to
Gifu.
school in my area.
So I went to Gifu yesterday, and I was there all day, and I came back late last night, and the Gifu is a great city. It's about on the train. It's about 25 minutes north of Nagoya,
Mhm.
and I've never been north of Nagoya Station, and so this was
Hmm.
since I've lived in Japan, and
It's a nice little trip for
yeah,
you.
it was a nice day trip, and Gifu is a very nice and clean city. It's a large city, a little
It's a
bit
prefectural capital.
prefectural capital of Gifu Prefecture,
Hmm.
and so it's a little bit larger than my own city. And they had a big downtown, a nice, clean, modern downtown, and beautiful streets. What I found interesting was that the streets in all directions near the Meitetsu, which is Nagoya Railroad Station, Gifu, Meitetsu Gifu, they had the what do you call it? You
And
have
the
the machines.
electric lines,
No. They had the
trolleys.
covers or the
Okay.
sidewalk.
Oh, and the arcades.
Yeah, it's like an arcade, but it was
Mhm.
it was like a snow thing or
Oh, yeah. The one that's slanted, it goes over and dumps the
or
snow away from
or it was just the sidewalks were covered.
yeah.
Yeah, so I thought,
Shibata,
why?
they call them an arcade. So,
You really,
but it's Shibata. I don't know.
even if it's not covered over like in
Yeah,
Futomachi or Honcho.
yeah.
Yeah,
They still call it arcade.
arcades. Well, so in any event, they had these there in Gifu, and I wonder what the weather is like in the winter in the Gifu city, because it's not mountainous in the city itself, but there's mountains very close.
I know the mountain is very close by. There's a lot of villages up in those hills, and they get huge amounts of snow.
Yeah,
I mean, I have one student who was I forgot the name of the town, but it's like a UNESCO site. They have those old grass thatched roofed Japanese homes. They're
yeah.
made of grass, and they preserve the whole town. And actually, it's a nice it's a UNESCO site, but it's also a nice vacation place to go. You can rent one of those houses and stay there and live, the hearth in the middle of the house, and that kind of,
Wow.
you could do it
Well,
in wintertime too, but with
I
the
know that
snow.
Gifu is a jokomachi,
Right. Yeah.
so
So
it's a castle town also.
hmm hmm
Yeah, I mean, it
yep.
was very interesting to visit Gifu, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's a unique place. I've never been there. Actually, I think I've driven through, but I never stopped there. It's like, there's no reason to, you
But
know.
Gifu apparently is in the exact center of Japan,
Yes, that's their claim to fame. The heart of Japan.
the heart of Japan.
There it is.
Yeah, the central. It's in the crossroads of Japan. Well, Nagoya, the railroad system is truly the crossroads of Japan.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Well,
you have,
Nagoya. I mean, that Nagoya, Gifu. I mean, Aichi prefecture is what you're in. Aichi and Gifu prefectures are traditionally the birthplace of modern Japan.
yeah,
From the Edo period, the 100-year wars, the civil wars, all happened in your area. You were the center of the conflict of all these daimyo and shogunates battling for power, and
so
then eventually creating modern Japan from
modern
the Edo
Japan.
period. From the
Yeah,
Edo period.
those three um, leaders of
Yeah.
Japan
Mhm.
from centuries ago.
Yep.
So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we won't get into Japanese history. That's another show. So I think the kind of student you get, because I notice the students that I get from like Nagoya or Tokyo or from the Kansai, even I have students from Osaka or Hyogo. When they come to my school as students, they're different. They dress differently. They they act differently. Their body language is different than the Japanese of the kids that we have here. They're big city people. It's like it's different. They carry themselves differently. They talk differently. They're more aggressive, and it's kind of interesting. And I've noticed that we have one teacher, and I think he's from Fukui or Toyama, maybe
Yeah,
Toyama,
north of
and
here.
yeah, north of you, but south of me. It's kind of
That's
weird.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he's different. He has a different character than the people here. And Japan is such a small country. You wouldn't
yeah,
think
but
there's
you
so
wouldn't
much
think,
difference.
but there is, there's actually a lot of diversity in Japan,
Yeah.
among regions and areas in Japan, and the Japanese themselves know it.
hmm
They know it not only through the language and the dialects of Japanese, but through the as you said, the culture and the
The culture.
behavior
Yeah.
and how these people are, and like people from Osaka or Kansai are completely different than people from Tokyo or Niigata,
Mm-hmm.
where you're from. And Niigata people are different from Tokyo people
Yeah.
and Aichi people. And my area, in my area is not too far to the east of Kyoto.
Mm.
And Kyoto's different. Kyoto's different from Osaka, but Kyoto, in fact, even in Japanese, the language itself and the dialect, and Kyoto dialect, I hear, is a very soft spoken dialect. It's I can't explain it, and I don't understand enough about it, but I know that that they say it's soft, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whereas things like, isn't Osaka Ben kind of harsh,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. The Kansai Ben is a
yeah,
little
and
harsher.
and 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 Niigata Ben is very strong as well.
Right. But
Yeah,
then people on Sado say that their native language, Sado Island, which is part of Niigata, is closer to Kyoto because
interesting.
because the Kyoto used to send, how would you say, when people from Kyoto would visit Niigata, they would sail on the Japan Sea to Sado before they went on land. Sado was the port, and they would banish their important prisoners to Sado Island. So there's kind of a Kyoto feel of Sado. It's kind of weird.
Japan's Botany Bay.
Yeah, there it is.
Botany
Oh,
Bay.
oh, that reminds me. I have to make a correction from our last musings where I talked about the Joetsu, Chuetsu, Kaietsu. I said it was from the view from Tokyo, but I didn't mean Tokyo. It's the view from Kyoto, which was the capital at the time.
Really?
Yeah, and it's my mistake. I'm
Wow.
sorry,
Yeah.
but so the closer you are is considered up. So Kyoto's here, so Joetsu's here, then Chuetsu, and then Kaietsu. Kaietsu is lower. So it means the perspective means going away. So from the view from Kyoto, Joetsu's close. Chuetsu Nagaoka is down here, then Niigata is over here, and then everything
What they
else is
consider Niigata Kaietsu?
Niigata is Kaietsu, which is the lower
Interesting.
area
Yeah.
from the Kyoto perspective.
So I'm glad you found that out, because
Yeah,
and
and
corrected it,
corrected.
because
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
because
want to.
we've always talked about it as being from Tokyo, but it's not from
It's
Tokyo.
not from Tokyo. It's
See,
from Kyoto.
that's the old that's the
So it's even an
ancientness
old,
of
yeah,
Japan.
it's
Yeah,
right. So it's an even older
older than
perspective.
Tokyo.
Tokyo is, we're talking from 1600,
Yeah, Tokyo's
1608.
to old Japan in my area. Tokyo's young.
Yeah, so Tokyo. So from the Kyoto perspective, we're talking from about 1200, the year 12. So just about 100 years after William the Conqueror conquered
Yeah,
England.
truly amazing, actually.
Oh,
All
well,
this history, and that all these buildings that we have in my area, it's fantastic.
yeah.
That are
So
hundreds of.
So I think people in your area, though, in Nagoya, the few times I've been to Nagoya, are very. They're not like Kansai, where they're very open or anything, but they seem to be they're very. I don't know, I would say culturally sensitive. Because Nagoya Castle is very well taken care of. You have a lot of great museums. You have a lot of good performance halls. You have a lot of good music. Nagoya is a very culturally sensitive place, more so than Osaka.
Also, it was fascinating talking to my wife about dialect and things like that. I think Mikawa Ben, which Mikawa is the region.
Kawa.
Mikawa used to
Okay.
be the province,
Is
and
that the
this area Aichi used to be.
Hanji
I
is three rivers?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I know that this area was called Mikawa,
Hmm.
and I don't know if Nagoya was a part of Mikawa province.
Oh, it could be
So
separate.
it could be separate, but I'm not
Ah,
sure. I don't know enough about my history, but I do know that there are some vocabulary words. Is it our area that in Mikawa province, or Mikawa, the old Mikawa, that's related to Yokohama? Because there's some things, there's some things that they say in Yokohama that they don't say in Tokyo. And
that's
Yokohama and
yeah.
Tokyo in modern times today are
Mm,
15-20 minutes apart on the bullet train.
yeah. But not 400 years ago, 500 years ago, they were a day ride at least.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to
It's,
imagine that,
it's
isn't
kind
it?
of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my house, you can drive from here on the nearby Route 1, which is probably um, less than half a kilometer away. It's
Hmm.
probably 300-400 meters away
Hmm.
at the most. Route 1 is basically a it's more than a thoroughfare, but it's
Yeah.
a route. You could take it all the way to Tokyo, and it'd be
Right.
7 hours of driving time to Tokyo
Yeah. I
from
used to.
from my house. I could, or if I took the toll road, I could probably get there in 5 or 6.
Yeah, Route One. I mean, I used to drive Route One when I lived down in Hyogo in Kobe, and I would drive it south going towards
Would
Okayama.
you do that, or would you do the Kosukudoro?
Well, when I was living in Hyogo, the expressway, I didn't have. There was there an express? There was an
Because there
expressway,
was but
but
then there's now they have the new expressway,
right,
and it's a mountainous route,
right.
and
There's
it's a few miles further up in the
inland,
mountains.
yeah. So
Inland.
there was an expressway like the Hanshin Expressway, which ran along the coast, but I never took the expressway. I like driving on the streets. I mean, the only time I took the expressway was like when I would drive on the inland, which is the Chugoku, the expressway. When I would drive into Nara, I would go, instead of going down to Kobe and coming through Osaka up to Nara, I would go around the northern part of Hyogo Prefecture towards Fukuchiyama and go that direction. So,
well, perhaps you in those ancient times, or not ancient times, but in the
yes, on me in my burro in the car.
Yeah,
come on, Pepe. Sorry,
but perhaps in that time you drove by where I live here in Okazaki. So
probably, I probably, because I drove all around there. I drove as far. What's the onsen, the famous resort area down there? Hakone.
Hakone, yeah.
I drove to Hakone when I lived in Hyogo. That far.
Doesn't the emperor, or I think our last emperor didn't. Maybe it's a traditional emperor hangout place, but I think the emperor also hangs out in Hakone.
Yeah, they all do. I mean, the rich people, they have, that's like Karuizawa in Nagano, the Hakone, these Nikko, all of these are like where rich people and famous people have all hung out and did their thing.
Karuizawa, I remember stopping there on the bullet train going up towards Nagano. Yeah,
nice area. It's
actually
beautiful.
Coming back from Nagano.
I went to a wedding there of a friend of mine. She got married there, and I went to the wedding, and it was like, man, a very expensive place. But part of the wedding thing is they paid for me to go because I was kind of a guest. So it's like, if I had to pay, too much, man.
A lot of money, huh?
Man, at that time, I mean, that's 20, 25 years ago. And it was a lot of money. So I remember driving from Niigata to Karuizawa, and I had both the sons, both Kai and Tai, when they were, this size,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
hey, Mark, I don't know if you could hear it, but did you hear my rice cooker?
Was that I heard something click or something?
That was the rice cooker.
Oh, rice is done?
Rice is done.
All right. It's time to eat.
It's ready for tonight.
Oh.
Okay. It'll be for dinner tonight.
We'll all right. Is it genmai or shinmai?
I don't know. It's just rice to me.
Okay. Is it white rice or brown rice?
White rice, but I'm
okay. So it's polished rice. Is it new rice?
It's probably so.
Oh, shinmai. Yeah.
It's what we have every time we eat rice.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you buy. Is it koshihikari?
Niigata no?
Yeah, mochiro.
I believe so. My wife always gets Niigata rice.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
It's not that how much I love it.
It's not that blend, is it?
I don't believe so.
Okay, good. Okay.
No. I'll ask her. I'll check it with her.
Because I'd have to go over there and give you a yellow card.
Okay.
Wait. Okay. I got my yellow Post-its. So anyway, this is funky, man. Anyway, I think we should probably cash it in now, man.
Yeah. That sounds great, Mark. That's great.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about
everybody joining us today.
Yeah, man, and we talked about food, a little bit about people, got the weather in. And Musings from Japan doesn't need to be long. So, at the end of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick on some of my pictures of my wisteria bloomed.
I'll send you a couple pictures of Gifu City.
Yeah, good. We'll have some.
And you can see what Gifu looks like. Gifu, Japan. It's the first time I've ever been there, so I'll send you some pictures.
So look at the end of this Musings. You'll see my wisteria, which I grew from a weed. It was a wild plant, but I tamed it, and it survived the snow.
Oh, one other thing is,
I'll
send you a picture of this Thai restaurant that I ate at
last week. Yeah. Greg had a great time, a great meal at a Thai restaurant that looks like when you said the Tiki House from Disneyland.
Yeah.
It is the Tiki House.
or you could call it the Tatewood House.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You could call I call it the tiki, but it's that kind of thing. It just felt like going into another world. So I'll send you some pictures of Gifu City. We can put it on here to show everyone, and then the Thai
restaurant.
Yeah,
and a little bit of food too.
And maybe that one picture that I took, I'll share some pictures of the coffee shop we ate.
Well, I want to know what you ate at the Thai restaurant.
I think I had chahan.
Chinese stir-fried rice.
Well, you want me to send you a picture of that too? I'll post a picture of everything. Okay, folks.
And I'll throw some flowers and tulips and wisteria. We'll mix it in with some Gifu and some Thai stuff. That sounds good. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Everyone, take care and peace out.
Musings from Japan, number 32.
32. Sayonara. Sayonara.
Sayonara.